The Alabama Crimson Tide are gearing up for a 2025 season after a 9-4 overall record, first time since 2007 that they haven't hit 10 wins. But that included a 5-3 SEC mark, which has not been seen in Tuscaloosa in quite some time. But that was Kalen DeBoer's first year as head coach. Now he's going into his second season. Of course, Crimson Tide fans hopeful but realistic about high expectations, especially with the schedule. In terms of roster changes, the biggest loss is the quarterback Jalen Milroe, who heads off to the NFL. On offense, Ty Simpson is going to be the guy. That was announced earlier this week alongside Austin Mack, or the freshman Keelan Russell. He's going to step into that crucial role there. The receiving core returns some deep talent, right? Ryan Williams is the big name. Jeremy Bernard, probably just as important, if not more so. And then you bring in Miami transfer Isaiah Horton. Running back Jam Miller is back, and then you've got newcomer Dre Washington that's going to share carries behind a pretty strong offensive line that's anchored by Caden Proctor and Parker Brailsford. Now on defense, the Tide return a stellar unit. Senior tackles LT Overton and Tim Keenan III, along with linebacker Deontay Lawson and safeties Keon Sabb and Bray Hubbard. Sabb, of course, was injured for much of last season. Hubbard came on strong as a freshman, really showed out in that defense. Secondary features standout corners, of course, Damani Jackson, Xavier Brown, and they brought in transfer Cam Calhoun from Utah. Now, under defensive coordinator Kane Womack, the expectations are pretty high for some continued excellence here, especially if Alabama can ramp up the pass rush. Got to be able to stop the run. That's a huge part of this. I don't know if there's any team in the country that has enough dudes to be able to stop the run. That's a topic for another day, though. Keys for the season. You need a smooth transition at quarterback, which you would fully expect it with Ryan Grubb back as offensive coordinator. Whether it's Ty Simpson or Keelan Russell or Austin Mack, whichever one it is that ends up playing the most minutes, you got to have a smooth transition at quarterback from Jalen Milroe over to this. I think whoever the quarterback is going to fit the scheme a little bit better than Milroe did. You need dominant play from the offensive line, and you need a continued defensive dominance, especially getting pressure on some opposing quarterbacks here. Challenges do lie in road swings, right? You got Florida State in the season opener on the road. We don't really know what to expect from Florida State. Wisconsin comes to town. What exactly is Luke Fickell's bunch going to look like? You do have SEC gauntlets, right? You play at Georgia, at Missouri. If you look at the full schedule, good gracious, I mean, there's a stretch in the middle that is just absolutely insane. And then on the back end, you've got tough home tests with LSU and Oklahoma coming in before you end the season at Auburn. If they get through the early gauntlet, the early slate, this could certainly be a playoff team and probably should be, right? Future odds on this, 9.5 is the win total. The odds are minus 114 to the over. That is an implied probability of over 53%. To win the SEC, they are plus 480, so that's over 17%. And the odds to make the CFP this season, minus 188, that is 65.28% implied probability. I have the Tide at 10-2. I've got losses at Georgia and a loss at South Carolina because that is coming off of just a brutal stretch here. This is a playoff caliber roster, but again, a really difficult schedule, right? That stretch from week 5 through week 10, you play at Georgia, Vanderbilt, at Missouri, Tennessee, and at South Carolina. That's pretty rough. I'm expecting a 3-2 record in there. The 2 losses could be enough to keep them out of Atlanta, but they can absolutely win a national championship with this roster this season. Thanks for listening to Winning Cures Everything. Make sure and follow me on Twitter at GaryWCE. If you want to toss in a question, you can email me, Gary@winningcureseverything.com. Make sure and hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.